on this computer. Okay. Hi, so let's start this interpretation. We're going to be watching the video of Baba taking his Jeevan Vidya An Parichay workshop, and then we'll pause after a little bit so that I can translate it for you and kind of interpret what he's saying in English. And then if there are any questions, you can ask me then itself. If I feel like it needs to be taken up later on, then I'll ask you to put it in writing and we'll take it up at the end again. And let's keep the conversation open, and I think it'll work out since there's just so few of us. So that, it's kind of more engaged. And I'll mute myself while I play the video, then all of us can unmute ourselves while I interpret it. So I'll start now. Yes. Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. This one.
मैं अपने में से ही स्वेच्छापूर्वक जो कुछ भी विगत के वांग्मयों को समझा, इसमें और किसी का दबाव नहीं रहा। समझने के बाद और मेरा एक कामना हुई, क्या होना चाहिए धरती। उसके लिए मैं अपने में से ही एक उद्गार पाया, वो है भूमि स्वर्ग हो, मनुष्य देवता हो, धर्म सफल हो और नित्य शुभ हो। ये
Okay. So he starts out with, this is cut off from the recording, when he starts out with Manav Bandhu, which is my human brethren. I, from my own volition, studied the scriptures of the ancient Vedic scriptures of the past and understood them. And there was no pressure on me from anyone on the outside to do this. Upon studying and understanding the scriptures, I felt a longing emerge within me. This longing was, how should this earth be? How should the humans living on this earth be? What should they be like? And on the emergence of this question, an outpouring emerged spontaneously within me as in response to this. And that was, may the earth be heaven, may dharma or righteousness or the law for humans succeed, may humans be gods. Oh, I mixed it up. It's may earth be heaven, may humans be gods or deities, devta, may dharma or righteousness succeed, may there be eternal welfare. Bhumi swargatam yatu, manushya yatu devatam, dharmo safaltam yatu, nityam yatu shubhodaya. Is that anything? If there's anything that you want to ask, just ask as I pause after the translation, and then we can move ahead, I suppose. Okay. So if that's clear, then I'll move on. Actually, I'm not sure how long I should keep each segment before interpreting, so I'm just going to try out whatever works. And if you feel like I should keep it shorter or longer, then we'll adjust it as we go. Just let me know. Is there something else? Okay, good. Just say it out loud because it's just the three of us.
Okay, Drishta. One.
लिखा हुआ आप शुभ हो, ये लिखा हुआ आपने देखा है। भूमि स्वर्गताम यातु, मनुष्यो यातु देवताम, धर्मो सफलताम यातु, नित्यम यातु शुभोदयम। ये लिखी हुई पट आप लोगों ने देखा। ये कैसे उद्गमित हुआ, इसका पृष्ठभूमि मैं आपके सम्मुख रखना चाहते हैं।
How did this, wish or desire and the answer to it arise within me? I want to share the background of this with all of you. I want to present its background and all of you.
पृष्ठभूमि इस प्रकार रही। ये शरीर यात्रा किसी एक परिश्रमी, सेवावादी, धर्मपरायण, आर्षेय धर्मपरायण परिवार में हुआ।
So the background is this. I'll just pause. This is Manjuji. She is also from Dehradun. She's done one Parichay service, and she had wanted to organize this session. So it's all thanks to her that we're doing it. Okay, I'll continue. So I started this journey, this life journey, this particular bodily journey, in a family which was committed to service. Sevakari is committed to seva, to service of others, and a great, very pious family. Vedic Dharm Parayan means pious in the Vedic tradition. Arya Shreyvadi. Arya Shreyvadi is, Arya means a family which is very noble and honorable again in the Vedic, according to Vedic tradition. So it's a very honorable family that he was born into. That is where this journey of his, this life journey began.
ये तो आप सब विदित हैं। हर मानव संतान किसी न किसी माँ बाप के कोख में होता ही है, किसी न किसी धर्म परस्त होता ही है, किसी न किसी राज्य संविधान को स्वीकारा ही रहता है, परंपरा में प्राप्त शिक्षा में अर्पित होता ही है, नहीं अर्पित होता है शिक्षाविदों के अनुसार चलकर देखता है। यही आज तक की परंपरा की बात रही।
So this much you all are already aware of, that any human offspring that is born on this planet is born out of begotten to a mother, is born out of a mother's womb, he says. That means we're all born to a particular mother in a particular family. किसी ना किसी धर्म को मानने वाला होता ही है. And in this he's saying any offspring is a follower of some or the other dharma. And here dharma can mean any way of living, because dharma is not just religion, it can be any sort of ideology. किसी ना किसी राज्य संविधान को स्वीकारा ही रहता है. So he accepts some sort of nation state and its constitution, whether it's formalized or unformalized. Any child that is born accepts some constitution, and किसी ना किसी परंपरा में प्राप्त शिक्षा विधि को अर्पित होता है. That is, he dedicates himself to whatever educational system is available in his tradition. And even if he doesn't dedicate himself to the education system, he follows the guidance of the educators around him, whoever they may be, because each child learns from some sort of educator. So every child starts their journey in this way. This is, altogether, this is a sum up of how things have been up till now, in the traditions up till now.
उसी विधि से मैं भी जहाँ से शुरू किया, जिस परिवार में शुरू किया, ये सबसे गुजरने लगे. इसमें से रूढ़िगत बात, जो परंपरा में जो इनके साथ बैठो, इनके साथ नहीं बैठो, करो ना करो, और ये सब बातें शुरुआत जब से किए, इन रूढ़ियों से हमारा मन भरा नहीं.
So similarly, I also started in one such family, was born to a particular mother and accepted a certain religion and education tradition, constitution. That's how my journey also started, just like anyone else's. Along with this, now the tradition he was born into had some traditional dogma, some sanctions, customs, of इसके साथ बैठो, इनके साथ नहीं बैठो, ये करो, ये ना करो, sit with this, don't sit with them, do this, don't do that, all these customs, ये सब बातें जब से शुरुआत की है, उन रोड़ियों से हमारा मन भरा नहीं. What this means is that ever since all these customs started, when he was introduced to them in his childhood, he was never satisfied with these. All of these never sat well with him.
कुल मिला के ये बचपन की ही बात रहे. पहले पहले लोग ये बचपन की बात है ऐसे ही बुजुर्ग भी सोचते रहे. कुछ दिनों बाद वो बदलने लगी. दृष्टियां, मुद्रा, भंगिमा, थ्योरी सब बदलने लगे.
So this started in my childhood. This is the story of his childhood. And initially, even my elders used to think this way, that this is a thing of childhood. However, gradually, after a while, even they started to change. You know, when his dissatisfaction with the customs remained, their drishtiya, mudra, bhangima, theory, the elders gave their postures, their expressions, their frowns, their demeanor, all of these started to change towards him.
लगा मुझको कि हमारे बुजुर्ग हमसे प्रसन्न नहीं है. ये पहला हमारा दुख का कारण ये बना.
I started to feel that my elders are unhappy with me. And this was the first cause for sorrow in my life. If you want me to pause or clarify or do anything like that, just say it out loud as we go, and I'll do it, live instead of waiting till the end. Just saying that for Manju because we just arrived.
इनको प्रसन्न भी कैसा किया जाए भाई? जैसा ये कहें वैसे ही करें तो भी हम कसौटी लगाने लगे. क्या है सब दिन सब समय क्या ये प्रसन्न है? ऐसा मुझको दिखा दे.
But how even could I please them? They were unhappy with me. They were displeased with me. But how even to please them? If I do as they say or as they say not to do all day, जैसा ये कहें वैसा ही करें तो भी हम कसौटी लगाने लगे. Even if I were to do all this, I still had my conditions. सब दिन सब समय ये प्रसन्न नहीं रहते थे, ऐसा मुझको दिखा. When I saw them, I could see that they themselves were not happy all day or at all times.
मुख्य बात यहाँ से है. जब हमको ये लगवे नहीं किया कि हमारा बुजुर्ग हमको जैसा करो जैसा नहीं करो कहते हैं वैसा खुद तो करते ही हैं, नहीं भी करते हैं, किंतु ये सब दिन से क्या प्रसन्न है ऐसा पूछा तो ऐसा नहीं हुआ.
Right. So when I started to feel this way, that when my elders हमको ऐसा करो वैसा नहीं करो, when they tell me to do this and not to do that, when they follow the same, when they do those things and don't do the things that they say you shouldn't, they themselves are unhappy living that way, then I could see that they themselves are not happy.
जबकि उनसे ज्यादा जो आर्षय वांग्मय के विद्वानों को कहीं पाया नहीं जा सकता, पाया जा सकता है तो उतने ही उच्च कोटि की विद्वानों को पाया जा सकता है.
And this is the case when you can't find any more highly revered scholars of the Vedic tradition in this anywhere basically. If you can find anyone, they'll be equally revered, equally esteemed scholars, but no one higher than his family members.
ऐसे सब स्थितियां होने के बाद हम हमारे में ये निर्णय कर लिया किसी भी विधि से रूढ़ियों को तो मानना ही नहीं. ये एक प्रकार से प्रतिज्ञा सी होने लगी और उसका कारण दूसरे जुड़ गई तो हमारे बुजुर्गों ने हमको समझा नहीं पाते थे.
So when these situations occur, I somehow kind of decided that in no way was I ever going to follow these customs, follow these dogmas. And another thing that kind of added to this sort of pledge that I made was that my elders couldn't satisfy, they couldn't explain these to me. So this decision was made even firmer by the fact that the elders couldn't satisfy him with their explanation.
कुल मिलाकर इतना ही रहा। जितना जितना बार वो विफल होते रहे उतना ही हमारा अहमता बढ़ता गया। ये हमारा अहमता बढ़ने की बात और जो रूढ़ियों से ना जुड़ने की बात, ये सब चीज एक साथ चलती आई।
Right. And inasmuch as they were unable to explain to me or satisfy me with their explanation, to that extent, my self-importance grew. So he's being very honest that, as a child growing up and as a teenager, adolescent growing up, when the elders were unable to explain to him their reasons or, justify their beliefs, his self-importance grew from their inability to do that. And so this, up till here, he says, up till here is this entire situation with my self-importance growing and my decision to not follow custom.
इस क्रम से चल के हम क्या करता, अब बड़ों ने बुजुर्गों ने ये दावा करने लगा, ये कुछ समझा नहीं है, वेदांत को समझा नहीं है, वेद को समझा नहीं है, शास्त्र को समझा नहीं, दर्शन को समझा नहीं है। ये अपने आप में स्वयंभू के रूप में ये हर रूढ़ियों को, हर बातों को ना करो बातों को नकारता है।
So, progressing this way, now what could I have done? Now the elders began to claim that this child, this boy, he hasn't understood the Veds, he hasn't understood the Vedanta, he hasn't understood the scriptures, and yet, he kind of they say that ये अपने आप में स्वयंभू के रूप में हर रूढ़ियों को नकारता है. So he kind of in a self-proclaimed manner, he disregards all these customs, he denounces all these customs without having understood.
नहीं है, ये अपने आप में स्वयंभू के रूप में ये हर रूढ़ियों को, हर बातों को ना करो बातों को नकारता है। ये कहाँ तक ठीक है?
Till how far is this acceptable? His self-proclaimed denouncement.
इस मुद्दे पर बुजुर्गों ने जब चिंता व्यक्त करने लगे, वो हमारे लिए भी दूसरा दर्द का कारण बना।
So when the elders began to express their concern over this, that was the second cause for my pain, for my sorrow.
मैं अब क्या करता, अब दूसरा कोई रास्ता नहीं रहा, तो मैं आर्षे ग्रंथों के अनुसार वेदांत को समझा।
Now what could I do? There was no other way left. So, according to the scriptures, the esteemed scripture, I understood the Vedanta, which is a sort of summary of the Vedas, the philosophical aspects of the Vedas.
उसी को सर्वोपरि मानते थे। पहला भूमि है वेदांत माने वैदिक विचार का कर्म उस चीज को मानते हैं वैदिक विचार के अनुसार जिससे स्वर्ग मिलता है।
Right. So I studied the Vedanta, which is what my elders considered to be the foremost, the supreme knowledge. The first stage in this study is the Vedanta, in which the primary thing to be understood is karma. Karma is essentially action. And what do they understand by karma? Vedic विचार के अनुसार कर्म उस चीज को मानते हैं. According to the Vedic scriptures, karma is that which allows you to reach heaven, basically, which leads you towards heaven.
उसको कर्म मानते हैं, बाकी सबको और कुछ कहते हैं।
all other actions that are generally, called karma, all those other kinds of actions are called something else. According to the Vedic scriptures, karma or actions are only those actions that lead to heaven.
उपासना उसको कहते हैं जिसमें इंद्र बनना हो, चंद्र बनना हो और कुछ देवी देवता बनना हो, उसके लिए जो उपक्रम है उसको वे उपासना कहते हैं.
Now, upasana, the word upasana in English is like veneration or puja or worship. So according to the Vedic scriptures, worship or veneration is that which you do in order to become one of the deities, whether it's Indra or Chandra or whoever. So what you do in order to become deities is what is called upasana or veneration according to the scriptures.
तीसरा शीर्ष भाग में यही कहते हैं ज्ञान ही सर्वोपरि वस्तु है. ज्ञान क्या है पूछा, ब्रह्म ज्ञान. ब्रह्म क्या चीज है पूछा, तुम समझोगे नहीं तो फिर.
Okay. Then so the first thing is karma, the second thing is upasana, and the third thing, which is the highest, is called Brahma Gyan. So the knowledge of Brahma or God. So that is the third title or the third stage of understanding the Vedanta. So this is called Brahma Gyan, which is the knowledge of Brahma, which is foremost. When I ask what is Gyan, so Gyan, knowledge, is Brahma Gyan. What is Brahma? When I ask this, so you won't understand it. समझोगे नहीं तो हम कैसे पार पाएंगे?
ब्रह्म ज्ञान, ब्रह्म क्या चीज है पूछा, तुम समझोगे नहीं तो फिर बाद में हम कैसे पाएंगे? पार इस प्रकार से पाएंगे जो बुजुर्गों ने करो ना करो कहे, इसी विधि से पाएंगे.
So what is Gyan? Gyan is Brahma. What is knowledge? Knowledge is knowledge of God. What is God? Well, you won't understand God. Okay, if I don't understand God, then how will I, overcome after all this study? How will I, achieve the purpose of life or whatever, according to the Vedic scriptures, what they say that you need to do upon study? How will I achieve that, attain that state? Instead, well, you can only attain that state, if you follow the customs that were told initially, to do this, to not do that. If you follow those, then only will you be able to achieve them.
यहाँ हमको लाए, क्या करें भाई? तो क्या होगा ये, तुमको समाधि मिलेगा, समाधि में सब प्रश्न का उत्तर मिलता है.
Now what to do? So then I asked, okay, what can be done? You said you can go work towards samadhi. And what will happen in samadhi? In samadhi, you will get the answers to all your questions.
ये आश्वासन हमको बुजुर्गों से मिला. उसके आधार
This is the assurance that I got from my elders.
पर मैं भी अपने को मन सुदृढ़ किया, कुछ भी हो एक बार समाधि की स्थिति को देखना ही है और कोई बात बनती नहीं है. ना हमारा कोई दावा का मतलब है, ना करने का कोई मतलब नहीं है, करो का भी मतलब नहीं.
So on the basis of this assurance and this advice, I also strengthened my resolve that I must see the state of samadhi at least once, because without that there are no answers to my questions. There is no point in not doing what they're saying, to reject it, but there is also no point in doing what they're saying. So I must see the state at least once.
एक बार हमको अपने प्रश्न का उत्तर होना चाहिए. वो प्रश्न का उत्तर के प्रश्न इस प्रकार से बना, वेदांत को हम भले प्रकार से सुनने के बाद पहले तो ये बना.
So there is no point. I must see the state of samadhi. Without that, there is no point to any claim that I must make. For once, I just need to find the answers to my questions. And now, what were these questions?
वेदांत को हम भले प्रकार से सुनने के बाद पहले तो ये बना, ये बंधन और मोक्ष दो बात शुरू करते हैं। मायावश हम बंधन में रहते हैं, ऐसा वो कहते हैं। तो माने मोक्ष जो है ब्रह्म में आत्मा विलय होने की बात करते हैं।
Okay. So what were these questions? After listening to the Vedanta thoroughly, after understanding the Vedanta thoroughly, the first thing was that they talk about bandhan and moksha. About bandhan is bondage and moksha is liberation. So the first question was regarding this. पहला तो ये प्रश्न बना, बंधन और मोक्ष क्या है? They say what is bondage and what is liberation. They say that due to illusion, we remain in bondage.
आत्मा कहाँ से आया तो वो बोल
I'm not sure where.
हैं मायावश हम बंधन में रहते हैं, ऐसा वो कहते हैं। तो माने मोक्ष जो है ब्रह्म में आत्मा विलय होने की बात करते हैं। आत्मा कहाँ से आया तो वो बोलते हैं जो जीवों के हृदय में ब्रह्म स्वयं आत्मा के रूप में निवास करता है, ये बताते हैं।
Okay. So they say that because of illusion, we remain in bondage, and the Atma, upon liberation, is supposed to reunite or merge with Brahma, God. Now, where did this Atma come from? They say that the Atma is soul. The soul is essentially God, Brahm himself, residing in the hearts of animals, of Jeev. That is what they say.
ये बताने के बाद कई को बैठ गया, जबकि जीव जब मुक्त होने के लिए अर्थात आवागमन से माने स्वर्ग नरक से यदि मुक्त होने के लिए यदि आत्मा ब्रह्म में विलय होना ही है, पहले जब जीव हुआ था उस समय में तो उनमें कोई आत्मा नहीं था, फिर ब्रह्म उसके अंदर घुसने की क्या जरूरत थी?
So when they said this, that it is Brahm himself who resides in the hearts of animals, I asked, then what was the need for Brahm to go and sit in the hearts of animals? That is, when the purpose is to liberate oneself, when the purpose for the soul is to liberate oneself and once again merge with Brahma, the God, then why did he have to go and make his place in the hearts in the first place? When liberation essentially is freeing oneself from this illusion that they are separate from Brahma. When liberation, which is liberation from the cycle of birth and death, the cycle of heaven and hell, is to reunite with Brahma, then why did Brahma have to go and sit in their hearts in the first place?
क्या ब्रह्म ज्ञान यदि परिपूर्ण है, वो ब्रह्म में ही वो चीज नहीं है तो क्या होगा? ऐसा हमारा।
So if the knowledge of Brahma is absolutely complete, then if Brahma himself couldn't understand this much, then what will this Brahma Gyan, knowledge of Brahma, give me?
हमारा वितंडवाद जैसा हुआ, उसको वितंडवाद नाम दिया।
This was my so-called impertinence. They called it impertinence. That was the name they gave it. This kind of question. Vitandavad is impertinence.
क्योंकि हम जो बुजुर्गों के ध्वनि से ध्वनि मिलाते नहीं रहे, इसलिए हमको एक वितंडवादी नाम दिया।
Because I didn't echo the words of my elders, therefore they named this impertinent. They called me impertinent, which means that he's not saying that I was impertinent. They called this impertinent.
उससे हम कोई पीड़ित नहीं हुआ। आप लोग ऐसे ही समझते हैं, ठीक है, कि इसका उत्तर क्या है? हम वितंडवादी हैं, इसका उत्तर तो आप प्रस्तुत करोगे।
But this does not cause any sorrow in me. This does not pain me at all. okay, you consider me impertinent, but what is the answer to my question? You'll present the answer to my question, but you can keep calling me impertinent, but you will still present the answer for me.
उसका उत्तर नहीं मिला। उसके बाद यही कहा, जो तुम्हारा ये जो प्रश्न है, इसका उत्तर भी वो समाधि में ही मिलेगा।
But I didn't get any answer to this, to my question. And to this also they just replied that this question will also be answered in Samadhi.
अब क्या करें? समाधि के लिए हम तत्पर होने के लिए शनै शनै तैयार हैं।
Now what to do? So I gradually prepared myself I gradually got ready to dedicate myself to Samadhi. Because Samadhi is a process that takes like utmost dedication, devotion. So he prepared slowly over the years to devote himself to it.
हमारा मन धीरे धीरे बनता रहा। ये संभवतः ये सन 44 से शुरुआत हुई और 46 तक इस समय में हम पहुंच गए।
So my resolve slowly got firmer, and this started in around 1944, and finally by 1946, this resolve for Samadhi was achieved. Basically, it was absolutely strengthened. He was ready.
पहुंचने के बाद और एक स्थिति बनी, देश में स्वराज्य आएगी। इसकी संभावना बलवती हुई।
So what happened in 1946 was that he finally became devoted to Samadhi. Another thing that happened at that time was that our country will become independent. The possibility of that became, the likelihood of that became stronger around 1946.
उस ओर भी हमारा ध्यान थी। उस आधार पर सन 47 में स्वराज्य की बात सत्ता का
that my attention was also on this entire development with the national independence movement, and till by 1947 finally this hope was reached fruition, and there was a change of power, as in finally India was independent in 1947.
उस आधार पर सन 47 में स्वराज्य की बात सत्ता का हस्तांतरण हुई, जैसा हम लोग आशा करते थे।
As we had hoped, in 1947 India became independent and there was a change of power.
उसमें भी बहुत बड़े बुजुर्ग थे, चिंतनशील थे, विचारशील थे, उनके बातों को भी सुनते रहे और उनमें भी कुछ व्यतिरेक आई। पहले की बाद की सफलता के दिन तक की बहुत सारे व्यतिरेक आई।
So in that as well, there were many philosophers, many elders and intellectuals whose conversations he had followed, and there were many differences even up till the date of independence. There were many differences, and those differences and contradictions among the leaders of the independence movement which he followed, that also pained him. उसमें भी पीड़ित हुए।
उसमें भी हम पीड़ित हुए। उसके बाद और एक आशा लगी, अब हमारा एक संविधान बनेगी, उसमें शायद है सही मनुष्य का मूल्यांकन की व्यवस्था रहेगी, ऐसा हम सोचता रहा। मैं अपने
Then I had this other hope around this entire development. Another hope arose, which was that now we'll have a constitution of our own. In that maybe there will be some elaboration of what the right kind of human is supposed to be like. There will be some basis for evaluation, for the evaluation of the human as well as of systems that will be enumerated within our new constitution. which they were talking of developing.
अपने तरफ, अपने से ही, अपने स्वयं स्फूर्त विधि से सोचता रहा.
This is what I used to think on my own part, of my own volition.
हमारे साथ और भी मित्र थे, वो भी ऐसे ही सोचते रहे. हम लोगों का ऐसा 2, 4, 10 व्यक्तियों का ऐसा मन थी. तो
I had some other friends with me, some 2 or 4 or 10 people like him, like me, who used to think similarly. And that is how all of us imagined it would be, that there will be some guidance that we'll receive from the Constitution.
संविधान से कहीं ना कहीं मार्गदर्शन मिलेगा. संविधान की जब रचना हुई, संविधान समिति मिली, उनसे संबंधित जितने भी लेखा जोखा जो पेपरों में आती रही, उसको मैं ध्यान से सुनता रहा, समझने की कोशिश करता रहा.
So then when the Constitution was formed, I tentatively followed all that was covered around it in the newspapers. I used to follow it very rigorously and tried to understand everything that was discussed regarding the formation of the Constitution.
सन 50 तक की सारे बात जितने भी पेपरों में आई, उसके अनुसार हमारा मन में ये आ गई कि इस संविधान की तले कोई सही आदमी का मूल्यांकन नहीं हो सकता.
Till 1950, based on all that was covered by the newspapers around the Constitution, I came to the conclusion that under this Constitution, there can be no evaluation of what correct human character or conduct is. This Constitution does not allow for that.
उसका आधार ये बना कि सही आदमी का कोई चरित्र ही निरूपित नहीं हुआ जिसको हम राष्ट्रीय चरित्र कह सके.
The basis for me coming to this conclusion was this, that there was no description, there was no identification of right character in the Constitution. कोई सही चरित्र निरूपित ही नहीं हुआ. No correct character, no national character was identified or defined in any way on the basis of which we could say that, okay, this is the right sort of person, or this is the desirable sort of person.
इस आधार पर ये निर्णय हमको मिल गए. अब क्या किया जाए?
On this basis, I decided that this Constitution was disappointing in this regard.
पहले से ही संकट था ही, वेदांत और समाधि में ये सब उत्तर मिलना, ये जो पहले से हम सुन रखा था, उसको भी उसी में जोड़ लिया.
Now what do I do? Now I already had this difficulty, this crisis of the Vedanta and my questions. Then Vedanta and Samadhi and finding my answers in Samadhi. So I simply added this question also to my list of questions that I would pursue in Samadhi.
समाधि में ही इसका भी उत्तर मिलेगा. इसमें किसी बड़े बुजुर्ग उनके इनके साथ तर्क करने की जरूरत नहीं. मिलता होगा तो सबका जवाब मिलेगा, नहीं मिलता है तो एक शरीर यात्रा भूर्सी में अर्पित है.
Okay. So in Samadhi, I will find the answer to this as well. Now, if I'm going to find my answer in Samadhi, then there is no need for me to have any sort of pointless arguments with any elders or any intellectual or anyone like that. So if any answers are found in Samadhi, then I'll find the answers to this question as well. If answers are not found in Samadhi, well then one life journey, this one life journey with this body that he has started, he decided that this one I am dedicating to my question, to Samadhi.
जवाब मिलेगा, नहीं मिलता है तो एक शरीर यात्रा भूर्सी में अर्पित है.
नहीं तो एक शरीर यात्रा भूयसी में अर्पित है. It's like, kind of throwing this sharir yatra into the flames. How when you do havan, you throw offerings into the flames. So he's saying this sharir yatra I am offering to the fire, in the sense of, for this journey I am offering up this life journey.
ऐसा हम अपने में निर्णय लिए.
This is the decision I came to in myself.
उसके अनुरूप जो एक व्यक्ति तैयार हो गई वो है मेरे धर्मपत्नी.
Accordingly, one more person agreed to this, was prepared for this, and that person was my wife.
मेरे इस विचार से एक ही व्यक्ति तैयार हुआ, तीसरा व्यक्ति तैयार नहीं हुआ.
Only one person agreed or was prepared for this thought or idea of mine. There was no third person, no one else. He had mentioned initially that there were some friends of his also, but he said no one else was prepared for this sort of decision of mine except for my wife.
एक ही व्यक्ति तैयार हुए, वो हम अमरकंटक को एक ऐसे स्थली, पावन स्थली, नर्मदा जी का उद्गम स्थली, ये सब सुनते ही रहे. उस पावन विचार के आधार पर हो ना हो वहीं जाकर के क्यों ना ये प्रयत्न किया जाए, अंतिम प्रयत्न.
So her having agreed to it, he felt that he'd always heard of Amarkantak as this, venerated place, this pure place where the Narmada river originates. It's quite revered, and in the religious tradition because of it being the place of origin for Narmada. He had been hearing this his whole life, that Narmada's point of origination is this revered place. So with this sort of pure pious thought, he thought, they both decided, why don't we go there for this final attempt, क्यों ना वहीं जाकर यह अंतिम प्रयत्न किया जाए. And thinking this way, they left for Amarkantak.
ऐसा सोच करके अमरकंटक में आकर हम हमारे ढंग से एक तरीके से उसका नाम है आगम तंत्रोपासना विधि. उस विधि से समाधि की एक तरीका बताई गई है. वो है कुल मिलाकर के बहुत सारे देवी देवताओं को अपने शरीर में स्थली में देखने की बात है, अपने ही कल्पना से देखने की बात है, पूजा पाठ करने की बात है.
So they reached, thinking this way, they came to Amarkantak, where I, using my own method, which is called this Agam Tantra Upasana Vidhi, that he had learned, in which essentially it is about imagining different Devi Devta, gods and goddesses, in different parts of your body, and then kind of praying. No, it wasn't praying.
सारे देवी देवताओं को अपने ही शरीर में स्थली में देखने की बात है, अपने ही कल्पना से देखने की बात है, पूजा पाठ करने की बात.
So just visualizing them in different parts of your body, using your own kalpana, your own imagination, and then doing puja part. Puja part is your prayer and some sort of worship. That is what it's talking about.
ऐसे ही जो अपने शरीर के अंग प्रत्यंगों में जो कुछ भी हम कल्पना करते हैं, यहाँ ये देवता है, वो देवता है, इस क्रिया का नाम दिया है न्यास.
So in this way, when you visualize all these gods and goddesses in different parts of your body, that there is a certain devta on my shoulder, say, and another devi somewhere else in different parts of your body. This entire process has been given the name of Nyas. Nyas literally means something like trust. I trust that they are sitting here. They are in this part of my body. So that the name given to that process is Nya.
उसके मूल में ये सूत्र दिया है, देवो भूत्वा देवा न्यजित। तुम स्वयं देव रूप होकर के ही तुम देवताओं का आराधना करोगे। इष्ट।
So why do they do this? At the root of this entire technique is the Sanskrit shlok that this phrase that he read out, Deva Bhutva Devan Yojit. That means you become a dev, a god yourself, and then and in that way you pray to all gods. You become a god and then pray to the god.
देव का आराधना करोगे, ये बात मुझको बताई गई थी। उसके साथ ईमानदारी से उसी प्रकार करने के लिए हम तत्पर हुआ। उसमें जैसा बन पड़ता था वैसा करता रहा, यही कहना बनता है।
So with full sincerity, I started practicing this process as it has been taught to me. Now, in this, I did as much as I could do, basically. I tried my best and I did as much as I could do in whatever way that I could do, based on these, they're very vague guidelines, basically, that were given in the scriptures on how to do this. So, उसमें जैसा बन पड़ता था वैसा करता रहा, यही मतलब बोलने को मिलता है. He can't say anything beyond that, basically.
जैसा बन पड़ता था वैसा करता रहा, यही कहना बनता है.
Somehow. That's all I can say. I managed it somehow.
करते करते एक दिन ऐसा आया कि हम देवी देवताओं से की सानिध्य से मुक्त हो गए. मुझको ऐसा लगने लगा मैं हूँ, ये बोध था, हमारे पास कोई विचार नहीं था.
So, as I kept doing this, a certain day arrived when I found myself that I was freed of all these gods and goddesses that I had visualized. And all I could experience was that I exist. मैं हूँ, ये बोध था. But I had no vichar. I had no thoughts. All I could see was that I exist, but there were no thoughts.
पूजा करने की विचार नहीं था, स्तुति करने की कोई विचार नहीं था, आराधना करने की कोई विचार नहीं था, ना हमको पाना है कोई चीज, ऐसा भी कोई विचार नहीं था. हमारे पास कोई चीज है, ये भी विचार नहीं था. हमको कुछ करना है, ये भी कोई विचार नहीं था. इतने.
So when I was one day when I found myself to be free of the company of these deities, all I could see was that I exist. I had no thought. I had no thought that I had to do my puja, my veneration and worship. That I had to, no thought of doing my meditation. No thought of achieving anything. No thought of doing anything.
ये भी विचार नहीं था कोई चीज, ऐसा भी कोई विचार नहीं. आराधना करने की कोई विचार नहीं था, ना हमको पाना है कोई चीज, ऐसा भी कोई विचार नहीं था. हमारे पास कोई चीज है, ये भी विचार नहीं था. हमको कुछ करना है, ये भी कोई विचार नहीं था.
So I didn't want to achieve. I had no thought of achieving anything. I had no thought that I had anything of my own, and I had no thought of doing anything either. So these three are important because to aspire, to have a sense of ownership and a sense of doing, wanting to do, all these three sort of disappeared. There was no sense or thought of any of these in that state.
इतनी ही बात.
That is all. That is all that it was.
छोटी सी बात. ये
This little thing is what encapsulates that state.
घटना हुई. ये घटना होने के कुछ घंटों बाद, मैंने कुछ घंटों तक यही स्थिति रही. उसके बाद जैसा ही मुझको लगा कि हमारा शरीर का बोध हुआ, समय का बोध हुआ और स्थल का बोध हुआ, ये तीनों का जब बोध हुआ तब हमको पता लगा कि ये तीनों को हम बोधे नहीं रहा.
So for a few hours, I saw this state. I experienced this state. After a few hours, when I came to, when I finally, could experience time, my body, and my place once again, I realized that I had lost this experience this whole while, that I didn't have the experience of these three for all these hours. That's when he realized that he had lost them.
जो हमारे पास जो विचार ही नहीं था, ऐसा भी ये मुझको विश्वास हुआ कि ये तीनों को हम बोधे नहीं रहा. जो हमारे पास जो विचार ही नहीं था, ऐसा भी ये मुझको विश्वास हुआ.
Right. So he's saying actually it was when he came to is when he realized, when I came to, I realized that these things जिनको मेरे को विचार ही नहीं था. The things that the state when I had no thought of anything that I desired, anything that I had, or anything I wanted to do, it is only then that I realized that state had occurred.
विचार ही नहीं था, ऐसा भी ये मुझको विश्वास हुआ.
I was confident.
ये होने के बाद मैं सोचने लगा मुझको समाधि स्थिति आ गई.
That's when I started to feel that I have attained the state of samadhi.
उस समाधि स्थिति को हर दिन दोहराता रहा, कई घंटों तक दोहराता रहा. ये प्रतीक्षा करता रहा, अभी इसका हमारा प्रश्नों का उत्तर मिलेगा, अभी मिलेगा, अभी मिलेगा.
So I started to repeat this state of samadhi every single day. For several hours, I would repeat it each day. And I kept waiting that now I'll get the answer to my questions. Now I'll get it. Now I'll get it.
किंतु बरसों प्रतीक्षा करने के बाद वो प्रश्न का उत्तर मिला नहीं.
But after years of waiting in this way, I did not receive any answers to my questions.
ये दूसरा विफलता आई. अब क्या करें? अब वेदांत.
This was my second failure. Now what to do?
को समझने से समझ में नहीं आया, कोई उत्तर मिला नहीं. और तो समाधि के बाद उत्तर मिलेगा, ये मैंने ये भी उपनिषद भी कहता है, और बुजुर्ग हमारे सामने जीता जागता बुजुर्ग लोग भी कहते रहे, किंतु वो भी नहीं मिला.
This was my second failure. Now my elders have said, upon understanding the Vedanta, you'll find your answers. That also didn't happen. Then that was the first failure. Then the Vedanta, the Upanishads had also said this, and the live elders around me had also assured me that if not to study now, I'll find my answers in samadhi. But that also didn't happen. I failed in that as well.
हमारा परिवार में ही जो सर्वोपरि विद्वान, वो कुछ बता नहीं पाते हैं. अब कहाँ जाए? अब
Within my own family, we find the highest scholars of the Vedic scriptures, and they themselves are unable to answer me. Now where could I go? I had studied everything. I had asked the highest scholars, and I had reached the state of samadhi, and yet I hadn't found my answers. Now where could I go?
किसी के ऊपर आरोप लगाने की कोई जगह ही नहीं रहा. इस शिकंजे में हम न अपने ढंग से रहे, चाहे हंसते रहे, चाहे कराते रहे, जैसे भी.
Oh, it's time. Okay, sorry. We were supposed to stop 20 minutes back and just do some discussions. It's 7:30. We decided to kind of do 40-50 minutes of the recording and then 15-20 minutes of this conversation if there were any questions. But then I think, is there anything we can pause now, I suppose. This is the end of the paragraph. I think let me just wrap up this section because he just concluding his experience. Let me just do as much as we heard.
की कोई जगह ही नहीं रहा.
Right. So he said, अब इसमें किसी को आरोप लगाने की कोई जगह नहीं बची थी. Like, there was no space for me to point fingers at anyone in this situation. You know, I was stuck in this sort of trap where there was no way out for me. I had no answers. I had tried everything. इसमें हम जैसा बन पाता था वैसा रहे. I did whatever. I mean, my state was that I was just the way I was. I mean, sometimes I was laughing. When I could laugh, I laughed. When I had, you know, kehrarna means to kind of cry out in pain. So, I mean, when I cried out in pain, I cried out in pain.
हमने जीता जागता बुजुर्ग लोग नहीं. अब किसी के ऊपर आरोप लगाने की कोई जगह ही नहीं रहा. इस शिकंजे में हम ना अपने ढंग से रहे, चाहे हंसते रहे, चाहे कराते रहे, जैसे भी वैसे रहते रहे.
So in this trap, I remained in my own way. I dealt with it in my own way, whether it was crying or crying, laughing or crying out. I remained.
रहते रहते एक दिन ऐसा लगा.
Okay, so we'll do the rest the next time, I suppose. If any thoughts or questions or anything to share before we sign off. I lost track of time.
But you did say that we will do it from 6:30 to 7:30. So it's just
Yes.
7:30. It's just 7:30.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it-
But, huh?
It's just 7:30, so you didn't lose track yet.
Right. No, I thought I'll keep some time at the end for any sort of discussion if there was any. Like at least 10 minutes or so.
No,
But
it was very good. It was very good.
It's quite absorbing when he talks.
It's very, very good. You're explaining it very well.
Okay. Just ask anything if any, because I wanted to try to stick to all his words and his manners exactly, but I'm just trying to find my footing in this also. So don't want to lose his character in the interpretation. Okay, Prachi, Pashwa Devi, anything before we leave? We can do this again tomorrow, continue at 6:30.
No, I think it was very, very clear, and it's actually very nice to actually hear him speaking and then to have you translate exactly accurately, because you also get a sense of him and his earnestness. So it's very touching also. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And I also lost track of time, actually. It seemed to have gone in a snap of a finger,
fast.
actually. It was so interesting. Yeah. No, thank you. I think it's great.
Yeah, Drishta, similar. Yeah, it was really very interesting and no questions as such as of now because the explanation was also very smooth. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, he's just telling his story as of now. It's introductory, so I suppose there's not much need for questions as yet. Okay, so then we'll just keep it this way tomorrow also. We'll continue in this format.
Yes.
Okay. See you guys tomorrow.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you.
Drishta.
Thank you. Good night.
Happy New Year
Thank
to
you.
everybody.
Happy New Year.
You
Yes.
too.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Bye.